Thank you for joining us today and giving us a little time. This should be about a 30-minute webinar. It's called Redefining Career Center Data and Reporting Process. As we work through this, it's going to be just a couple minutes of PowerPoint and then mostly live demo for one particular aspect of our Looker integration. So for those of you who were able to come to the conference, you've seen some of this, but this is going to be a much deeper dive. Our plan today is to just briefly remind you about current reporting capabilities in GradLeaders Career Center. We'll show you where we've headed with the embedded Looker widgets that are going to be in the GradLeaders Career Center admin module. We've made some good progress to show you since user conference. We're going to spend the bulk of the time walking through Ad-Hoc reporting capabilities in Looker, and then a couple of last steps in terms of just talk about what would training and support look like and what are next steps if you're interested. Again, notice there's no Q&A on this particular event. The approach we're going to take, we had a big crowd at the session this morning. We've got another good crowd today, this afternoon. So the approach we're taking is this. If you have questions, if you have suggestions, if you want more information or a one-on-one school demo, contact your customer success manager via email. And if you do that by the end of the week, we're going to be gathering all of those questions and suggestions, and then next week we will be sending out recordings of this webinar along with a written response, sort of FAQ document to all the questions and items that are raised by folks on the webinars. Again, just a quick reminder, so in GradLeaders Career Center today, especially for those of you that might be considering a CSO to GradLeaders Career Center transition, there are 100+ reports pre-built. Now they are more or less canned in terms of what are the parameters and filters, what are the columns on the reports, but there are a great many of them. Now when we turn a new school on, we've defined what is sort of a standard configuration that includes most of the most popular reports, but there are a lot more that can be turned on for you, and those reports are detailed in the knowledge base that you have access to. Additionally, you've got the ability on any file, whether it's students or companies or jobs, to run a search to filter down to the records you're interested in and then define the output columns that you would like to export, so it's another way to do sort of a custom report or a flexible report, if you will. So that's what's been built in for some time. What's new is coming this summer, and then the release date is August 7. The first are embedded widgets in your admin module. We'll show you that in just a moment. Again, as I said, we've done some enhancement even since user conference that we'll show you. But for those who are totally new to this, what is Looker? It's a third-party tool that is really good at allowing flexible reporting and data visualization of the results of the reporting. It's something that we've embedded into GradLeaders Career Center that I'll show you in a moment. We've gone through a customer feedback process. IDI is an interview process whereby we laid out approximately 20 possible widgets that might be built into the product. We did round one of customer feedback in the early spring. We're now finishing up building those widgets, and we're going to go through round two of customer feedback in the mid-July timeframe. So if you would like to be in that customer feedback loop, when you write your note to your customer success manager asking questions and so forth later this week, just mention that you'd like to be in the customer feedback loop as well. So what we're going to do then is take that feedback and try to whittle it down to 6 or 8 of the most popular, most commonly interested widgets and build those into the product for August 7th. Something that I'll show you in a moment too is that these can be permissioned on per user in your admin module. So if you've got people in your office who do certain tasks, but they may not need to see these metrics every time they log in, it can be permissioned off and on a per widget basis. The ad hoc reporting, again, will be the focus here of our demo in a few minutes. And the way it works is this. Essentially, you get a Looker login account. It's filtered down so that it's just accessing the information from your school. We're handling all the data modeling on the back end so that you don't have to be an IT person to use this tool, and I'll show it to you in a moment. But it's ideally, we're modeling it in such a way that it's friendly, easy to read. As long as you understand the data that is in your system, you'll be able to build custom reports and graphs on the fly. And really, any piece of data that's in your system will be available for you to using custom reports. So if it's employment reporting data, interview data, job postings, events, student information, of course, et cetera, it's all available within the model. Now, this is still under construction, what I'm about to demo for you today. So it's not fully modeled, but again, the modeling will be complete by August 7th. So I'm going to get out of this PowerPoint and head over into my browser and show you a few things. What you're looking at now is just a normal GradLeaders Career Center administrative dashboard for a school user. And again, many of you are seeing this every day. Some of you are considering switching to this platform, but it's got a lot of little widgets on it that perform certain functions or give you certain pieces of information. This is the way it's always been. We will be able to put Looker reporting widgets right on this dashboard. Our team has also built an additional dashboard capability in. You see metrics dashboard as a tab over here. So you could, if metrics are things that are just going to be interesting to you on a once a week, couple times a month basis, you could take them off of your main dashboard and put them here if you're so inclined. This new page is permissionable. So again, just maybe certain people on your team need to see this information, so that permission could be turned on just for them. Once it's set up, then you see what we've got a handful of sample Looker widgets here on this beta site dashboard, and you kind of see how this works, right? So these are just sort of graphical depictions of some of the key data in the system. In this case, we've chosen advising or counseling activity on a year-over-year basis, showing how many appointments are available, how many are filled, et cetera. We've got some information here about students, and then again, just some month-by-month information on advising. Lots of things are possible here, and again, we'll settle on the standard widgets in the next few weeks and build it out for August. But you'll have the capability, once these are in place for you, to do things like filter down on these widgets. So maybe you just want to see a certain subset of your students based on their program or major or class year. You'll be able to filter things by date, a variety of different ways. And so you can affect these widgets very easily just by altering the filters and clicking run, and you'll see it's going to change the display here in a moment, as I've asked it for just 3 years instead of 7. All of the Looker widgets come built with the ability for you to drill down as well. So if I were, for example, looking at this student preparation scorecard here on the right, and I wanted to see information about my students who had signed up for workshops, I could click on that bar, get a detailed list showing me student names and other information, how many times have they logged in, how many workshops have they attended, and so forth. These are called drill downs, and they, all of the widgets will have drill downs that let you get at the details behind the graphic, and there's also always the ability to download into Excel and other formats. Some of the drill downs even have multi-layers. For example, in this one we built, let me see the 1,600 students who have signed up for advising so far in 2017. Now, if I click in, now I've got some options. I can just go look at the 1,600 detail records right away. If I want to look at it by month, I can do that and see another view of it. And if I just want to pick and see the 87 students here in June, I can do that as well. So it really is able to be many layers deep in terms of the drill downs that you can do. So that is the first part of the Looker integration that's coming in August. That's just the standard. Everybody gets it who's on the platform. You're going to get access to these standard widgets that are coming in August. But again, what I want to spend the rest of the time on today is focusing on the Ad-Hoc and custom reporting capabilities. So as I mentioned, if you choose to go down this route, you do so by talking to your customer success manager first of all, and we will set up a Looker account for you. And as I mentioned, that Looker account is going to be filtered down to data just for your school. All of your data will be available, including custom fields. And the really neat thing that this allows you to do is not only put nice charts and graphics together, but build very custom reports, pulling data from all of the different places in the system onto a single report. So, and I'll show you a more detailed example in a moment, but we're doing the connecting and modeling for you, as I mentioned. So you don't have to understand how to get from a job application to the company's industry, or from a job application in to get the student's major that applied to that job. It's all going to be connected for you, and I'll show you some of that now. But let's start with a more simple example. You'll have the ability to explore all of the different data elements of your system. For sake of illustration, I am starting with workshop activity. And let's say I'm interested in, somebody's asked me for a report for all of the workshops that we had in 2016, and they want to see some information. I'm just going to navigate down the left side. These are all of the available fields that I've got to select from for the reports. Any of these fields can be a column on the report. Any of these fields can be a filter on the report. And so since in this example I want the workshops from 2016, let's just pop open the date and pick the year, and I'm going to just choose that as a filter field. You'll see that affect the screen up here at the top. And let's say I want not the past 1 year, because that would be back to June of 2016. Let's say I want workshops that are in the year 2016. Okay, so that's my report filter, and I could put many more filters on there if I wanted. I could even say, 2016 or 2015. I could say workshops in 2016, students of a certain academic major or program. I could do all sorts of filters on there if I wanted. But for this simple example, let's just pick the workshop name. You see, I'm just simply clicking on the name here on the left, and it's putting a column on the report over here in the right. Let's pick the date of the workshop. Let's pick the person on your staff who was on point or responsible for that event. And let's just go get some simple metrics. As we do the modeling in each of these data areas, you notice this was called Workshop Master. You'll see a master file in every one of these areas that is essentially one record per event, in this case, one record per workshop. And so you've got a lot of data that you can pull off of the workshop itself. And then you see the activity details here. And this is where you're going to see a lot of these brownish fields called measures. These are things that we're creating as we do the data modeling for you in an attempt to build a lot of metrics that you want to use so that you can access them easily. You don't have to do a lot of sort of calculating to get there. Let's say for this report I want to know, okay, how many people attended each workshop and how many no-shows did I have for each workshop? And let's just run that. So anytime you're choosing these measures, it's just going to do the totaling based on whatever dimensions you've put over here on the left, whatever fields you've chosen. So in this case, I've got one row per workshop showing you the date and the name and the person on the staff who was in charge. And then the metrics are rolled up there. So for this one, I had 45 attendees, 20 no-shows. And so it's pretty easy to get that report. It's very easy to get a report. Take it out to Excel if you want to. I won't do that now. But again, that's always an option that's available to you. But again, the neat thing about Looker is you can always drill further, like, okay, well 20 no-shows on that workshop, who were they? I can click in and very quickly get a report of that as well. And I'm always going to have this Explore button here as well. So I can go in and make this its own report and customize that as well and export it to Excel. And so it's just sort of an endless array of possibilities once you're in here building reports. But that's a pretty simple metrics report. Now, if we wanted to, let's get rid of these metrics columns for a second and illustrate what I said earlier about your ability to pull in information from other tables. Let's say for this report, you want to see all the workshop attendance in great detail. So I'm just going to put the student's name on there from the activity details table, and then I'm going to go up to the candidate master or student file, and I'm going to pick information like, let's just get their degree program and see where that student is from, and let's pick their gender just because it's on the profile, just to illustrate the types of reports that we can run. So it's really easy to navigate through as long as you understand the data that's in your system, you'll be able to pretty quickly find it and build custom reports on the fly. Okay. Now, I want to do another example. We'll use jobs to illustrate a little more information. I'm going to go explore jobs. and I'm going to show you how to use the visualization to make a nice graph. Let's just say I want to see job applications by industry by month. Let's do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with an activity record, and I'm going to pick the month of the application. And while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to filter on, let's just filter on a period of time. Again, we'll just pick 2016. Now let's go ahead and count those applications by month. So that's easy enough, right? I just said, show me the month and show me the count, and I filtered it down to a year, and I see, you know, my activity is highest in October and November and September, not a big surprise. But, you know, you can see that type of information there. If I were to want to join something in from, like, the company file, let's get their industry. And let's run that again. Now, this will be a much longer report. It's by month and industry. So really, whatever blue columns, whatever fields you're choosing, along with the metric, is defining how the breakout happens. So you can see in December of 2016, the applications by industry. And if you really just wanted to see 2016 in its entirety by industry, I can get rid of the month column and find out where my students are applying. Accounting, financial, other, strategy, etc. Any report you can limit, especially if you're going to do a visual graphic. It makes a lot of the graphic options a lot cleaner. Many times you just want the bulk data, so you'll be taking it in a table form and going. And so that's obviously the first form of visualization here that's available to you always, is just a table. But you can see there are bar charts, horizontal bar charts, scatter plots, line graphs, area graphs, pie charts, all sorts of things you can do. And then once you've chosen a visualization method, you've got all sorts of options available to you about how you can tailor that. You know, you can do things, for example, like clean up the names a little bit. You can turn values on so that you see the actual numbers in the charts, and just really an endless supply of things that you can do, including customizing the colors, customizing the names on each label, and so forth. So you've got a ton of capability there for visualization. I want to go back to workshops now and show you some more metrics things you can do in greater detail. So I'm going to start fresh again. Now let's say we want to do that same analysis of our workshops in 2016, but let's look at it a little bit differently. So again, I'm going to line up the filter first. And now let's pick just the workshop month as a column. And now I want to see, let's go back to that activity. I want to see how many students signed up, how many actually attended, assuming, of course, that you're tracking attendance through the system, and run that. Now, this is similar to what we did a moment ago, not that earth-shattering, just summarized by month, but I wanted to show you this button, Custom Calculations. So we're going to do a lot of the metrics fields for you, those measures over there that show up as sort of a tan column. You can always create your own custom column as well by using the Calculations button. In this case, let's say you want a column called % attended, right? You want to know of all the sign-ups, how many of them are attending. Now you see this grayed out sample here, and this looks a little scary. It looks like code, and I told you earlier you don't have to be an IT person, and you don't. You just have to really know to hit the $. It's going to show you the other items on the report. So in this case, I'm going to pick the amount that attended, and I'm going to, it's just math. It's not scary programming, I promise. I'm going to hit the divided sign, and I'm going to do $sign again, and I'm going to take the RSVP or the signups. I'm going to choose my formatting, and off we go. So it's going to save that. It's going to put a greenish column here that shows that I've created a custom calculation, but in this case, I can see my percent attended each month, if that's important to you. Now, another frequently asked question, frequently used type of report is year-over-year reporting. Let's see how we would do that. Again, it's going to be a custom calculation. To do that, first, I better expand the scope of this filter. Let's say it's in the past 3 years. Okay, so we'll get a little more information there, and if I run that, you'll see what I'm talking about. We're going to get month by month for the last 3 years, starting the first month of 2015. Now, to do a year-over-year calculation of attendance, again, I'm going to go into the calculation screen. You can have as many custom columns as you want, and we'll just call this one year-over-year percent change, or something like that. Okay, again, I've got to come in now and I've got to define what that calculation looks like. I'm going to start again with the number of people attended. I'm going to divide it, and I'm going to use a function called offset. And if you're concerned that, well, how would I know that? I'm going to show you in a moment what tremendous documentation they have here. But you can see every time you start to type something, it is offering suggestions for me. So I'm going to use the offset function. What offset means, it tells you here, it returns the value of a row that is n number of rows, ahead of the other report. So in this case, again, I'm going to use the attendance figure, but I'm going to use it from 12 rows prior, which means the prior year. Now, because I want this to be a percent, again, I'm just doing math here. If you subtract 1, you can easily turn it into a percentage. So don't be concerned if this seems hard to you. We start you off with training, but custom calculations are something that you do have at your disposal if you want to use them. Again, our intent is to model this in such a way that you shouldn't have to do this very often, but it is a powerful tool if you need to use it. Let's save that calculation, and now you can see as we start, we start in 2015, I don't have any year-over-year things to report because I don't have the 2014 data on this report. But I can see here starting in 2016, I've got, well, it looks like I've got a fairly good-sized decline in attendance at my workshops for some reason in 2016. And then it seems to pick back up later in the year, and on into 2017, attendance is back up again. So that's the type of capability that you have with custom calculations. I want to show you just a few more features now. We've built a variety of different types of reports. You've always got the gear here where you can do a variety of things, and most of these things start with saving it. So let's save this look, and we'll just call it a sample. But you would obviously want to give it a real name. After it saves, it takes me to sort of a different state where I don't change it anymore. It's just letting me view the report and do some other functions. And I want to describe those other functions for you. Always over the gear here. So step one, download we've seen before. This is where you can take a report out to Excel or other formats. Schedule is incredibly interesting and powerful. This is something that allows you, once you've built a report, you can deliver it at a predefined time and in a format of your choosing. So you see the options here under delivery, daily, weekly, monthly, hourly, etc. You can schedule a frequency. You can schedule a specific time. So every noon on Friday, I'm going to send this report to somebody else in my office or somebody in the dean's office or what have you. So scheduling is very flexible. The default sending methodology is email, and that's really going to contain the report and then a link back in to see it if you want to include that. You see here you can use multiple email addresses on one delivery. So if you've got to distribute a report to several people, you can do that and schedule it. There's even a methodology here that if you've got a website where you want some of these reports to show up, you can use the webhook method. Now, you'll need your university IT folks for this, but you can send the report to a URL that they give you and have it just show up on the website as well. So the scheduling tool is incredibly powerful as you go forward. Another neat thing that you can do is just share this report. So if you've made a nice pie chart that shows your student outcomes by major or something like that, and you want to distribute it, you can just hit share, and you get a nice URL there that you can put in an email or publish to people as well without actually scheduling a report and having it go out on a scheduled basis. And so you've got a lot of flexibility here once you've built and saved the report. I know I've thrown a lot at you. We've got about 5 minutes left. I just have a couple of follow-up points in the PowerPoint, so let me get back into that. So what about training and support? Oh, and I'm sorry, I left my browser, but I meant to show you the online documentation is incredible. Up there at the top of the Looker menu where on the right, there's a help button that goes into wonderful documentation where you can find out about all this additional functionality. They also have a live chat option that your Looker subscription gives you access to. I myself have learned a lot using the live chat and talking to their reps there. They've got great responsive support reps on their live chat support all hours of the day. So if you're going to go down the road with the Ad-Hoc reporting tool in Looker, step one is obviously talk to your customer success manager to get started, but then we're going to have a training webinar for you on a one-on-one basis with the folks at your school that are going to be using it. You've got plenty of support from Looker as well as us as you need it. So key takeaways and next steps then. Again, as I mentioned, there's no Q&A session today. Again, these sessions have just been too big to really make that feasible. So what we've done is record both of the sessions today, and we're going to invite you to send your questions along to your customer success manager or CRM to get answered. We'd like to get those this week from you if we could, because we're going to put together that FAQ document that I mentioned and send it out next week along with the recordings. Again, if any of you want to have a one-on-one demo with us, let your customer success manager do it, and we can schedule that as early as next week if you would like to do that. With that, I think I will thank you for your time and attention today. Again, please follow up with your customer success manager with any questions, comments, concerns. Get an appointment with us scheduled, and we can drill in deeper for you at your school in a one-on-one basis. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day.